Aloha, my dear friends. This is how it looks like when you have no idea what you're doing, and this is half of my life. I literally don't know what I'm doing, but I am here and I'm excited. I am doing something amazing today, and I think it's amazing. Once in a while I do a survey. I walk around and ask other people their thoughts about certain things that I'm curious about. And today one of the questions is I ask people what do they think about Instagram or just social media in general, and just talking to different people I meet, and a lot of people have a similar outlook on social media, but I feel like people don't really speak up about it. And so today I just wanted to ask other people what are their thoughts on Instagram, and also I wanted to share my thoughts on Instagram.
So while social media can be used to promote good things in life and stuff like that, it's also one of the most hugest distractions for me in my life. Yesterday the sermon was saying how we're like a bride walking down the aisle to God, and I was just thinking the thing that makes me look to the left, look to the right and distract me from God is social media and seeking validation, and it's like a constant game of trying to prove yourself. But then also it can be a good thing, but I find myself spending way too much time on it and feeding my mind with things I shouldn't be feeding my mind with. And then I say this and I'm probably going to go on social media after this, but
I think it's something that can be very negative if you let it be, and if it's something that is a distraction or temptation from you following God, or if there's any sin that comes through that platform, then I think it's harmful. I also think that it's a really great way to tell others about Jesus. It's a really great way to connect with people. It's something that I love getting to share my heart on social media to people that I don't really get to talk to that often. So I personally like it and think it's a good thing, but for others it might not be.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I think everyone should hold the responsibility to have your own opinion and to understand what social media does in you. Scientifically, it releases like a dopamine hit of approval. So you have to know that social media does affect you, and understand how you react to that. And it's kind of a personal responsibility thing to take it on yourself, to understand how you interact with social media, and you have to make a judgment call for yourself. My wife uses social media a lot more than I do. I have a very small amount of time that I spend on social media, because I know that if I do, it leads to things like comparison, it leads to things like kind of like isolation, because I want to be doing certain things I see on social media. Maybe, and a lot of those things are unrealistic, but I know that about myself, so I limit how much time I spend on social media.
Thank you.
My thoughts on social media: there's a lot of what social media could be, and there's a lot of what social media is bad for. I personally don't use a lot of social media, but I can see a huge way of what it can be used for. There's a ton of people today that use social media, and I believe if you're putting out wrong information, a lot of people are going to see wrong information, but there's a big good window if you want to put out good information that a lot of the world could be affected by, because it's such a universal tool.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, my relationship with social media, I would say that I don't technically have a strong opinion. I think I would lean more towards that it's probably worse for you than it has benefits. I think there is good things about it, but I think ultimately what you're going to find is insecurity, comparison, and things that really are just going to kind of get in the way of your relationship with God, relationship with other people. But yeah, I think I'd lean more towards probably not having it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I think social media, it can be used for good, I think it's a great way to network and to connect with people who you have run into, or specifically if you're in ministry, you run into so many people and you meet so many people. So it's like you have a great way. It's a great way to connect to people, to build relationships with people, and to stay connected to people who are around the world. But then on the other side of that, it can be used for bad, and it can become addicted if you don't set boundaries for yourself, and if you don't realize, or if you aren't aware of your own weaknesses. And so I think it's a great way to communicate as well. If you're using the platforms as well of like social media, the platforms of like Instagram, TikTok, it all comes down to the message that you are communicating. And I think in today's culture, the value of truth isn't really there. And so it's somebody who doesn't agree with you, although you may be speaking truth, can cancel you, block you, unfollow you, just because they don't agree with what you're preaching or sharing, although that it's truth. So it's kind of like truth has become this subjective thing that people can share their own opinions and push their own agenda and push their own belief system when it may not even be true. And I think that's the problem that we are seeing on social media and across all these other platforms, is that people are communicating things that may not be true, based on what they believe in on their own.
Are you addicted to social media?
I personally am not addicted to social media. I have set boundaries for myself of just turning off my notifications, setting time to where it's like I don't use social media past a certain hour in the day, and then also asking myself, why am I even on social media, and knowing why I have it.
Okay, personally, I think social media is a really cool tool to like express yourself and be creative, and I love being on there all the time. But I think it's very bad because it's like a distraction all of the time. I find myself that I'm on there literally the whole day, and I'd like want to limit myself to get off of it more. It's good, but to an extent, and yeah, don't be on it all the time.
I think social media in its own is not inherently bad. I think it's inherently neutral, and it can be used for the spread of the gospel. Because then when you have people in Japan who they have food delivered to the house, they work remotely, the only way to reach them is through an online community. May that be gaming, may that be social media. But I also think, on the other hand, social media can be used for pure evil when you have stuff like pornography, and you have stuff similar to that, OnlyFans, where it's used for inherently evil things. I think it's however a person's heart posture is that's how they're going to use social media. But I think social media in itself is not inherently evil.
Do you think social media is addictive?
It can be if you let it be. I think anything can be addictive if you do not put the Lord first. If you're going onto social media with the heart of, oh, I'm bored, I'm bored, I'm just going to spend time looking at this, then yes, it's going to become addictive. Because then your mind's going to tell you, oh, this gives me satisfaction, I'm going to look at it. But if you go onto saying, hey, how can I spread the gospel through this? Or how can I connect with my family through this? I don't think, no, it would get addicting, but I think for most of society, it's easily addictive.
Amen.
Yes.
Thank you.
So for me, social media, I think it's kind of the next frontier of missions in an aspect. And so I want to be there, but what I've tried to do is switch to my head. I don't want to be a consumer, so I've just become someone who's posting. I post video content, worship stuff, worship moments, and Bible verses. And then I'm not a consumer, so I don't consume it as much anymore, but I used to be. So I just kind of made a switch in my head where I want to put content out there for people to consume, and I want it to be good content that's going to edify their lives, but I'm not going to just sit around and consume it as much anymore. I'm trying not to, at least.
Amen. Thank you.
Social media. I think social media can be a great way to connect with your friends and to get some inspiration for, I don't know, workouts or recipes and things like that. But also at the same time, what I've noticed, especially here, because I'm not really on social media a lot, I start comparing myself with, I don't know, athletes or other people, start comparing my life to theirs, and then, I don't know, you get envious, get jealous, and you just think you have it worse off. So I think it's very important to have a healthy balance, and to also do like a social media fast at times, like a month or so, where you're just not on social media, because I don't know, your entire life just revolves around it because you're always following people and always trying to see what they're doing. And yeah, so I think it's nice to have, but you need to be very careful on how to use it.
Thank you. What are your thoughts on social media?
For me at least, it was like a big time waster. Like I just like spent a lot of time on social media and it was kind of pointless. So I ended up deleting all the social media I had except for Snapchat. But yeah, I feel like you can compare yourselves a lot to other people because the only thing people are putting on social media is like their best, like the best parts of their life, and like sometimes it's not even like 100% real. And I tend to do this, and I know like a lot of people tend to do this too. Like you tend to compare yourselves to like what other people are doing and like how successful they seem on social media and like all the fun things they're doing. So yeah, those are my thoughts on social media.
I don't use social media because I don't really feel like it's very important. I just, I have my close circle and it's honestly kind of boring in my opinion. So I'm not really good with, keeping a track of it and things like that. So yeah, so it's nothing really special. I just choose not to, and it's my personal opinion, and there's nothing wrong with it. But at the end of the day, it's just I'd rather do something else than just keep in touch with it. So yeah.
Thank you.
So I think social media is super helpful in today's culture in so many ways, but when it's used in the right way, especially whenever you're using it for like businesses, connecting with people, but the second you start idolizing it and using it and letting it control your life, that's when it gets bad.
Faith, the famous guy. She has 3 million followers. Guys, let me tell you the truth. Social media sucks. It is terrible. It is the worst thing ever. Social media damaged my life. Yeah. Anyway, as we saw, a lot of different people have different opinions on social media. Some people love it, some people hate it, and social media could be an amazing, incredible tool to connect and to stay in touch with your friends. But there is a downside to it, and it's important to stay aware and your intentions of using social media. And the most important part is to be honest with yourself when you do go on Instagram, Snapchat, or whatever it is, other platforms that you are using. My personal opinion, there was a time in my life where I was addicted to Instagram, and Instagram was a source of validation and acceptance, where I found validation and acceptance, and I would make the perfect picture and post to get likes and to get lots of comments. And that made me feel like I was worth something because I did get a lot of likes, and I was like, okay, therefore if this picture got this much likes, therefore I am likable, and yeah, it was in my teen years, but it lasted for many years. And now that I am in a different place in my life, I still think social media can be very addicting, where you find yourself scrolling through Instagram, through stories for a while, and you're like, why am I here? I should be doing something else, And yeah, once again, I think it's important to stay true to yourself and honest with yourself of where you stand and how much time you spend on social media. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and stay tuned. Hold on. See you later. 2, 3. You can share your thoughts.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna.
Are you gonna ask me the question?
Yes.